Hello, good morning, and welcome. My name is Liz, and this is Shot for Shot, the show where I take a shot for every movie in a beloved franchise and rank them.
Yeah, it's Liz. Yeah, it's Liz. Taking shots and doing stuff with Liz.
Tis the season to rewatch some of our favorite holiday classics, and we're kicking it off with the 3 movies in the Santa Claus franchise. I'm not taking any shots today because if I spill, my cotton ball beard will disintegrate, but I'm sipping on some eggnog and there's more than 3 shots. Believe me. Also, this eggnog is lactose free. Don't worry about me. I won't be shitting under the Christmas tree.
Bars!
I just want to get out there. I'm dressed as the toy Santa in the second movie when he's dressed as a dictator. I know it doesn't read and I just look like beatnik Steve Jobs, but what can you do? In last place, the worst movie is the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause. It has the word clause in the name twice, so that's clause enough for it to be last place. Clause enough?
Not funny!
It takes an hour for any of the action to happen, and it's just fun and shallow. There's not a lot of deeper meaning, and the characters are just so simple. Carol from the second movie is strong and complicated, but in the third movie, she's just pregnant, and that's it. They also abuse CGI, have it told through a flashback when it's completely unnecessary, and Abigail Breslin is in it. I can't explain it, I just want to fight her, you know? There is a school for elves, and this raises quite a few questions. So there are children elves that require an education, but the life expectancy for elves is ridiculously high. Whenever life expectancy is high, you don't reproduce as much because you don't need as much population to replace the lost population.
Someone's creating an army.
There's just too many elves. This fireplace is terrifying. Jack Frost as a villain is very cut and dry. I just wish there was like a little bit more dimensionality to him. But his motivations make sense. He just wants more power and recognition. Tale as old as time. Song as old as rhyme. I do love that they bring the in-laws to the North Pole and they just tell them that it's Canada. It's hilarious. Like, I don't know what Canada looks like. All of the movies have a clause because that's the name of the game. This one doesn't really make sense. Essentially, Santa will hold his own special snow globe and say, I wish I'd never been Santa, and then he would never have been Santa. It's just really stretching it, especially compared to like the other 2 clauses. Also, I can't be the only person who misspelled the name Santa Claus for just years because of these movies. Please tell me I'm not alone.
Allah.
Lucy, Scott's niece, is here again, and I think she's super important because she's a child, so we get to see the magic of Christmas through her eyes. Bernard is gone. That is so sad. To be transparent, I did have a crush on him when I was younger. He's cute. I love his shirt. He's got a fun little hat. He's angry. I love him. Lucy tells Jack Frost to chill, and he goes, chill? I invented chill. Dramatic. There was an elf wearing Crocs. I won't be able to find a screenshot, but I need you to believe me. The whole driving force of this movie is Santa Claus being really, really busy because it's like the week of Christmas, and Carol's like, I'm pregnant and I need attention, obviously. And Carol's parents are like, well, this is his busy season, and she's like, it's always his busy season. Bitch, in the last movie, you guys got 3 months to honeymoon after Christmas. Shut up. Lucy watches her parents completely freeze, and that is terrifying. Carol's like, Santa has to put the topper on top of the tree. It's his favorite thing to do. It has to be him. Like, they've only had like 1 Christmas together. It can't be like that big of a tradition. Scott and Jack Frost go back in time. It's like he was never Santa Claus at all. Jack Frost runs like this evil corporation at the North Pole. It's just an amusement park. He's just Walt Disney. Oh, Frozen, cryogenic head. Lots of parallels here. Everything's blue because Jack Frost is in charge of it, but it's just like, this just feels like Hanukkah. It doesn't feel like he's evil. It feels like they're Jewish, maybe. Scott tricks Jack Frost into holding the snow globe and saying, I wish I'd never been Santa. And then he gets back to being Santa again. And they pick up right where they left off. And they're like, unfreeze Lucy's parents. And he's like, I can't unfreeze them unless I unfreeze. And then Lucy hugs him because her hugs are magical, which is stupid, but it like melts his heart, which is sweet. It's a cute moment. And then her parents unfreeze, and that CGI is horrible. So like a dumb movie, but you don't have to think about it, and it's sweet and simple enough. So last place, Noggin. Dude, oh my God. In second place is the original movie, The Santa Claus. I'll tell you why. This movie is really similar to Mrs. Doubtfire in that it just isn't for children at all. And it's about a man losing custody. Heartwarming classics. Scott Calvin is actually like a pretty good dad. He just like is a mean person, if that makes sense. Scott genuinely tries his best to give him a good Christmas, but ends up failing because he's just like is unskilled. Like he brings the turkey and they end up at Denny's for Christmas dinner, and there's like a bunch of other divorced dads with their kids there, which I think is funny. Scott really encourages his son Charlie to believe in Santa Claus, which is like really great for his imagination, I feel like. And then Neil, who's a psychiatrist, is like, no, it's time we tell him, which is really silly because he's still really young, and I feel like Neil would understand that that's like a part of development for children, but it's fine. I'm not mad about it. Scott reads Charlie the night before Christmas before he goes to bed, and Charlie's like, what's a rose such a platter? Which is like a little silly, but it's cute. But it's fantastic later when a magical ladder appears going to the roof, and it's the Rose Suchak Ladder Company. So cute, and I love that detail. It's just hilarious that the inciting incident is Santa's death.
I believe I can fly.
I do love the logistics of Santa. You know, he has his flying bag and he can like get really skinny to go down the chimney. Like, that's fun. As I said, I do love Bernard, but in this movie he has like mini dreads, and his hair is definitely not textured for dreadlocks. So gross. Like, I just know the inside of those dreads is just full of dandruff. Your hair's not meant for that. Don't do it. Here we have Judy, who's 1,200 years old. She has a great hot cocoa recipe. She's seeing someone in packaging, and her hat is adorable. I love her. They immediately replace her in the second movie. Scott finds out about the consequences of putting on Santa's suit, and that now, because of the Santa Claus, he is legally Santa. Like, I wish that would apply to other jobs because I would be a mime so quickly. Here we have the full power of Neil's sweaters. They're absolutely amazing, and Scott makes fun of him just so much for it. Scott has his initials on his PJs, but his name is Scott Calvin, so it's SC, which is Santa Claus. Full circle. It's like he was destined for it. So Scott and Charlie go back to the real world, and they have to deal with the fact that Scott is Santa Claus, and literally no one believes him. Scott doesn't even believe it. He's growing a beard, he's gaining weight, it's me in quarantine, but reindeer follow him, all the kids ask him for presents and whatever, and the list shows up to his house, so he inevitably has to accept the truth. Charlie's mom and Neil genuinely think that Scott is dressing up as Santa Claus just so that Charlie will like him better and want to hang out with him, and they're like, you have to stop this, and then eventually take custody away from Scott. It's horrible. It's so sad. Finally, it's next Christmas. It's time for him to deliver presents again. He goes to the North Pole with Bernard. They do like a whole cute little montage where he gets a cool new suit and sleigh gets tricked out. But the whole time he's like, what if I fall off the roof? What if I fall off the roof? Because that's how he watched a man die. Scott technically kidnapped his own son, so they let the cops know, and they start arresting every Santa Claus on Christmas, which is a little questionable, and, you know, ACAP. So Scott gets arrested and taken to jail. All the while, Charlie is left on a roof by himself. Eventually, elves with attitude, it's like an elf SWAT team, come and pick him up and take him to the jail to break his dad out, which is questionable again. But then Scott's able to finish his Santa Claus rounds and ends up back at his ex-wife's house. And eventually convinces her to believe, and then she like burns the custody papers, which is sweet, but sad those papers existed in the first place. Her Santa Claus gives them the presents they always wanted, and Neil gets a weenie whistle. Okay. And then the movie ends. So, second place. Liquor? I hardly know her. Oh, to wear a crown. They pull on my braids. Say a little dance, drink a little nog, throw up tonight If I had a time machine, I would go back to 1959 and kill the inventor of the fitted sheet. In first place is the original, no it's not. In first place is the Santa Claus 2. It's not too silly for a children's movie. It still has meaning, but isn't too serious like the first movie is. I do kind of hate Chet, the reindeer in training, but he does act as a Deus Ex Machina, and that's...
Put some respect on my name. You understand me?
He literally flies in to save the day. But quelle surprise, Charlie's on the naughty list. Seems insane that he's on any list because he seems a little old. But he's acting out because his dad's not around and he like has the secret that basically he doesn't get to share with anyone else. This one has our best clause. It's the Mrs. Claus. Santa has to get married by Christmas Eve, otherwise he loses his Santa powers.
The desanification process has begun!
I literally love a deadline for love. See why I ranked Princess Diaries 2 above the first one.
In the course of this campaign that you
Hello?
All of the legendary people have a meeting to talk about stuff, and Mother Nature is so pretty. Also, it raises the question if all the legendary figures like are mortals who like overtake a role just like Santa Claus did. If so, can you imagine being a normal person and then all of a sudden turning into the Easter Bunny? He looks terrifying. Santa wants to help the workshop get ready for Christmas, but he also wants to be with his son Charlie, and they're like, you can't be two places at once. And Curtis is like, bet. And they make a clone of Santa. What could go wrong? Is it ethical in the first place? No. Scott goes home until Christmas and he only has a little bit of magic left, and there's a watch that tells him that if he runs out of magic, he won't be able to get back to the North Pole. Obviously, he's gonna run out of magic because that's how it works. So Santa Claus obviously has to go on dates to try to find Mrs. Claus, which is funny, and he wears this ugly sweater, and Neil is like, doesn't he look hot?
I think it makes you look hot. Huh? Doesn't he look hot, Laura?
Then he goes on a date with Molly Shannon, and she's like, I have to sing in the middle of this restaurant or I'm gonna scream. She's like, did you like that? And he's like, did kind of scare me. And she's like, I really put myself out there. And then leaves. Ooh. Since the desanctification process has begun,
The desanification process has begun!
Scott like loses weight and his beard gets shorter, and someone's like, you've lost a lot of weight. Are you feeling all right? Which is like a great relief from any time someone loses weight and everyone's like, oh my gosh, you look hot. See Adele. Evil Santa is complaining about kids, and he's like, they run with scissors, they're always sticky, which is so true. Like, if you spent any time working with kids, how do they get so sticky?
It's glue!
Scott goes to the park to watch a bunch of teenagers rub spray paint off of a wall, and he and the principal flirts, and he brought her coffee, which is really sweet, and she like watches him flex his Santa powers on that little girl named Pamela. Just like, never has someone under the age of 30 been named Pamela.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Scott shows up to the principal's house and is like, hey, do you want to get some noodles? Or like some pie? That sounds like the ideal date. Noodles and some pie. I'd be so lucky. He then takes her to the faculty Christmas party in a horse-drawn sleigh. Amazing. And then he's like, I'm gonna whip out my Santa Claus magic, and gives every single person there like an old vintage toy that they wanted when they were kids, and it's really cute and it's really fun. And she's like, what? How did you do this? This is crazy. It's almost like magic. And later he's like, yeah, it was magic. I am Santa. And she's like, what? You're crazy. Leave my house. Get out of here.
Don't call me. Don't come by my house. We're done.
So Evil Santa has overhauled the North Pole, and he's making them all like hack away at some coal, but it's like, where did the coal come from? Like, I want to see those elves down in the mines just hacking away with their tiny little pickaxes, getting tiny little black lung, you know? Obviously Santa gets stuck because it had to happen, and they try like yanking his teeth out to get the tooth fairy to come to take him back to the North Pole. He ends up just falling off of a staircase, and then Lucy's like, hey guys, I lost a tooth. Great timing. But you're gonna sit there and tell me that the tooth fairy is played by not Robert De Niro?
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Then Max shows up to his principal's house and is like, listen, my dad really likes you. Here's a snow globe. Believing is seeing, seeing isn't believing. Classic. And then Max pulls one of his teeth out and goes up to the North Pole with Carol. And then, you know, they save Christmas. They like kick Toy Santa's butt. So Christmas is saved, except the desantification process.
The desantification process
Is still going on. So he's like, Carol, no pressure or anything. I know we just met, but if we don't get married right now, Christmas is ruined forever. And so she's like, okay. And they get married, and it's cute, I guess. And she moves up to the North Pole, quits her job, and they have a 3-month honeymoon. Every girl's dream. He delivers Lucy her present, and she finally gets to meet Uncle Scott as Santa Claus, and it's so cute, and she gets to like have her beliefs confirmed as Max, not Max, why do I think his name is Max?
That's not my name.
As Charlie gets someone else who like is in on Santa's secret. That the movie is fantastic and is a great feel-good classic, and you don't have to think about it. So Merry Christmas to all, and to you, good afternoon. Anyways, thank you so much for watching Shot for Shot. If you disagree with my rankings, let me know in the comments and tell me what franchise I should rank next. As always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned next week for a new video. Bye! I'm Monkey.